What is up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy Chef. We are back, and you already know what time it is. It is time for the YAK Pod, episode number 57. Now, we got a couple things to get into. One of those things that I promised to get into is the series of who needs what and how it can benefit us as far as being able to get one of the top 5 defenders. And I got a little bit of a surprise. I don't know if anyone has seen it, but it has to do with uniforms. Now, before we go ahead and get into any of that, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and subscribe. Hit that little button down there, smash that like button, turn on your notifications, and do all of that good sharing stuff that gets the algorithm on my side, because if you are enjoying this content, you want the algorithm on my side. Now let's go ahead and get right into what we are going to talk about today. First, let me unveil what I have for you. Yes, I know you see it, and looks like is that man J-Mo? Is he wearing the number 1 jersey? I don't know. The Lions are playing coy. It's only another day. It's tomorrow. Well, actually, what is it? It's Thursday, right? Yeah. It's Thursday where they will unveil what this actually looks like. Now, someone leaked this, and it was on purpose, and I believe they had to leak something because the New York Jets just released theirs, I think, yesterday, and they look pretty damn clean. I can't even lie. I cannot lie. The New York Jets uniforms look clean. But let's get into more of what we are going to talk about today. We have a list here. Now, this list comes from Pro Football Network of the needs. And we're just going to go through the top 10. We're going to get to the rest of them later, because we're going to have to trade up. Who can we trade up with? I'm just going to say it right now. If Dallas Turner gets past the Atlanta Falcons at number 8, there is that one wild card team that is at number 9, and we don't want it to happen. We pray that it doesn't happen, because we don't want to see Dallas Turner not once a year, but twice a year. We don't want to see him any times a year, unless it's 17 times, maybe 20 times a year. You understand what I'm saying? On our side of the football. But if he gets past those two teams, I feel like there's a really good chance that the Detroit Lions could land him. But it might be a pipe dream. We're going to have to trade up. Apparently, trading up into the top 15 is not going to cause us to give up a pick next year, or a first round pick next year. So, without further ado, let's get to the first thing that we have. We have the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears need a QB, an edge, a wide receiver, a center, a defensive tackle, and a guard. Now, the Chicago Bears, they're going to draft Caleb Williams. It's pretty much guaranteed that that's what's going to happen. And then they have another pick at number 9, and we all hope that they just go ahead and get him a center. Because if you need a center, you need an offensive lineman to help protect and help grow. Like Bears, he needs to grow with that center. Ryan Poles, he needs to grow with his center. Go ahead and get you a center. Go ahead and get the top rated center on the board so that Caleb Williams can grow and develop. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are really bad at developing quarterbacks. Look at Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is a much more dynamic football player than he was allowed to be in Chicago. Why do I say that he was allowed to be? because he wasn't allowed to grow and develop. And he's going to need to develop into that dynamic playmaker who's just as dangerous with his arm as he is with his legs. Now, we know Justin Fields is very dangerous with his legs. We know that in Detroit far too well. He is a very difficult man to get on the ground. I mean, he has been in the grasp of hundreds of tackles and has gotten out of them. So, again, he was a guy that the Bears failed to develop, and they move on from him. So I'm going to say the opportunity for the Chicago Bears to draft a quarterback for the future and then get him a center that he can grow with, because the center is the line captain. He's the quarterback of the line. So that's two quarterbacks growing together. They have that opportunity. So let's hope that the Chicago Bears do that with pick 1 and 9. Now, number 2, the Washington Commanders. They need a QB. They need an offensive tackle. They need a cornerback, an edge, a wide receiver, a safety, and a tight end. They need everything, pretty much. But we already know that the Washington Commanders will probably be drafting Drake May, Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy, whatever. They're going to be taking a quarterback because they do not have one. They have moved on from Sam Howell, so they need it. So that's not something that we are concerned about. The Washington Commanders will, barring something really, really strange and crazy, they'll be taking a quarterback, just like the New England Patriots will be taking a quarterback. They need a quarterback, a wide receiver, a cornerback, an offensive tackle, a tight end, an edge. Just pretty much they have the same needs as the Washington Commanders do. So again, we are 3 picks in, and I don't think there is a Dallas Turner that's going to be picked. Number 4 is the Arizona Cardinals. They need a wide receiver, a defensive tackle, a cornerback, a guard, an edge, and a safety. They're widely regarded to be selecting someone like a Marvin Harrison Jr. There have been some surprise wide receivers mocked to them, but I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be the pick here. So the Arizona the Arizona Cardinals are not a threat to take one of the top 5 defenders. Now, if you didn't see my last episode, the top 5 defenders that I am talking about were the people that were on Joel Klatt's top 5 defenders list. That was number 1, Dallas Turner, number 2, Jared Verse, number 3, Quinyon Mitchell, number 4, Chop Robinson, and number 5, Terrion Arnold. And later on, I'm going to talk about the cornerbacks and if you should be high on any of them, because boy, we need some coaching. But anyway, so number 4, Arizona Cardinals, don't think that they will be taking one of those top 5 defenders. The Los Angeles Chargers, they also need a wide receiver, a cornerback, a center, an offensive tackle, a defensive tackle, a linebacker, and a tight end. Surprisingly enough, edge is, well, I can't really say surprisingly, because they retained both Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack to rush the passer. So that's not something that they need. They do have a lot of other needs. Obviously, they moved on from both of their big name wide receivers. They moved on from Keenan Allen. He's now in Chicago. And they moved on from Mike Williams, who's now with the Jets. So I don't think that they are a threat to get any of those. Terrion Arnold or Quinyon Mitchell could go here, but I would be very surprised if you didn't get someone for Justin Herbert to either protect him or either get the ball to, because right now his wide receiver core is anemic. And then there's also the need for a tight end, but I don't think they take a tight end at number 5, even though Jim Harbaugh really likes his tight ends. Number 5 is really high for a tight end. So I don't think they do that. Now, the New York Giants. The New York Giants need a wide receiver, a quarterback, a cornerback, a running back, an offensive tackle, a defensive tackle, and a safety. Obviously, they're pretty set on the edge with Kayvon Thibodeau. So that's not someone that I would think would grab anyone. They need a cornerback. But again, the primary needs of this team, they could throw a monkey wrench in some things because they could take a quarterback. They could take a JJ McCarthy. They could do that. Depending on who's available. Depending on how this draft shakes out. If there are any trades made already. Last year, we saw trades that were made very early. The Texans took CJ Stroud, number 2, and then traded right back up to number 3 to grab Will Anderson. So some moving and some shaking can happen. And let's hope that no one moves and shakes up to the top to grab one of those top 5 defenders. Now, the Tennessee Titans, they need an offensive tackle, a linebacker, cornerback, defensive tackle, wide receiver, and a safety. Now, surprise, surprise. Remember I said the top 5 defenders. 2 of them are cornerbacks. I'm not interested in trading up for either one of them. If we're going to trade up, we have Carlton Davis, we have Amik Robertson. Now, what is every cornerback's best friend? It's a defensive line that can get to the quarterback and put major pressure on him and not allow his receivers to get open and significantly reduce the amount of time that they need to cover, especially in our scheme, which is heavy man coverage. We want to cover man. I love man coverage. I love press man. I love to be able to dominate a receiver at the line of scrimmage. And Aaron Glenn likes that too. So again, I'm not thinking about trading up. Surprise, surprise. I'm on the trade up for Dallas Turner trade. And I've been that way. Jared Verse, either one of those guys, I will be happy with if we're trading up for Jared Verse or Dallas Turner. And that's what we're looking at in this little breakdown. We're looking at the ability to do that. Chop Robinson, I'm not trading up for, especially not. And I think he'll be there at 29. If we're staying at 29, I think Chop Robinson will be there at 29. So there's not any moves that we drastically have to make to acquire Chop Robinson. If that's your flavor, I'm not high on Chop Robinson. I feel like his production was really low, and then the bulk of the low production came against some low competition. So yeah, I'm not really going for that one. Atlanta Falcons, as I said earlier, the Atlanta Falcons are a major threat. They need edge, as that's their first need listed. Edge, corner, wide receiver, defensive tackle, and safety. Now, the hope is that Atlanta falls in love with a Quinyon Mitchell or a Terrion Arnold or even a Kool-Aid McKinstry. That's the hope. Because if you fall in love with one of those guys, that means that we're ever closer to grabbing a Dallas Turner or a Jared Verse. So let's hope that the Atlanta Falcons have fallen in love with one of the corners, which they will be able to get in that space. It's very unlikely that you pass on a Dallas Turner for someone who is not a Sauce Gardner. Now, if you had a Sauce Gardner in this draft, then I would probably personally be very conflicted as to Do you need a shutdown, lockdown type of corner, or do you need an edge who's going to complete this line? Now, a lot of people are sleeping on James Houston. He is the problem. His hezzy move, bro, he's out there playing basketball on the football field. Listen, that man is like AI. You understand what I'm saying? So, no, not artificial intelligence. For the young people here, I'm talking about Allen Iverson. So just a piece that completes that line and just keeps constant pressure on the quarterback because our run defense is already stout. It's amongst the best in the league. If we could get that piece that completes the defensive line to put pressure on the quarterback constantly, I think we are in really, really good shape. Now, number 9, the Bears come in again, and as I've already said, go ahead, take your center. Take your center of the future, man. Take your center that's going to be growing with Caleb Williams for the next 10 years. Just do it, Bears. Just do it. And then we have, rounding out the top 10, we have the New York Jets. They need a wide receiver, an offensive tackle, a safety, a tight end, and a quarterback. They do not need an edge. So we're safe, I think, in the top 10. Obviously, Dallas Turner could be gone at the number 8 pick. And we're hoping that he's not, but he could be. But Jared Verse, still there. I've seen Jared Verse mocked anywhere between 15 and 23. So if we see Jared Verse sitting there at 15, I think you go up and get him. But we are going to look at the next 15, maybe even 10 at a later date. Tomorrow we have Matthew Broder, who is the credentialed beat writer for the Detroit Lions, or one of the, and he will be joining us, and we will be going live at 8 p.m. Do not miss it. But anyway, that is all the time we have for today. As always, if you did not smash that like button on the way in, smash it on the way out. If you did not subscribe on the way in, subscribe on the way out. If you did not share on the way in, share on the way out. If you did any of those things, I appreciate you, and I invite you to continue to do so. As always, until next time, peace.